day, everyone. My name is Binabi San Miguel.
I'm Carlo James Regala.
And I'm Miguel A. Ramos.
For today, we are going to discuss the introduction to Department of National Defense. So this is the content of the report. History, what is DND and its components, composition of the office and sub-agencies. History, formally organized on November 1, 1939. The Department of National Defense or DND was formally organized on November 1, 1939. This was established on the pursuant of Executive Order number 230. This was created on the time of the administration of former Commonwealth President Manuel L. Quezon to implement Commonwealth Act number 1 or the National Defense Act of 1935 passed by the National Assembly on December 31, 1935 and Commonwealth Act number 340 creating the department. What is DND? The Department of National Defense or Kagawarang Tanggulang Pambansa is an executive department of the Philippines government responsible for guarding against external and internal threats to peace and security in the country. The agency always prevents terrorism, politico-military threats posed by communist and insurgency movements and ultra-rightist groups, transnational concerns, and threats. So this is the government agency that protects against terrorists. This is the seal and logo of DND. The seal presents the coat of arms of the Republic of the Philippines as its main feature, representing defense of the country. The three-pointed stars occupy the upper portion of the shield, representing the country's three main islands, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. The 8 rays of the Philippines sun stand for the first 8 provinces which revolted against Spain. For the parts of the components of Department of National Defense will be discussed by Mr. Regala and Mr. Ramos.
Components of Department of National Defense. Land Force Capability. The Philippine Army is responsible for the conduct of operation on land. It is tasked with the organization, training, and equipage of land process for the prompt and sustained operation on land, and to prepare such units as may be necessary for the effective prosecution of national defense plans and programs and armed forces missions.
Air Force Capability. The Philippine Air Force is responsible for the air defense of the Philippines and is tasked with the organization, training, and equipage of forces for prompt and sustained air operation for the defense of the Philippines.
Maritime Force Capability. The Philippine Navy is responsible for the naval defense of the Philippines. It is tasked with the organization, training, and equipage of forces for prompt and sustained naval operations, and in preparation of necessary naval units for the effective enforcement of all applicable laws upon Philippine seas and waters, the prosecution of national defense plans and programs and armed forces missions.
Management of Joint Operation. The General Headquarters or AFP is responsible for providing centralized direction and control to ensure unity and coordination of efforts throughout the AFP. It is tasked with the preparation of strategy, plans and provision of the strategic direction of the AFP, including direction of operation of unified or special commands, preparation of integrated plans for military mobilization.
Number 5. Strategic Policy and Defense Resources Management. It is concerned with providing defense strategic policies for the overall direction of the AFP and its civilian bureaus and agencies. It provides both international policy and defense policy.
Disaster Risk Management and Response, consistent with the Philippines Disaster Management and Response or DRM framework, which is based on an all hazards, all agencies, multi-sectoral and community-based approach. The Defense Department, through the Office of Civil Defense, shall continue implementing Disaster Risk Management or DRM activities even in the pre-disaster stage, namely risk identification and analysis, risk reduction or prevention, mitigation, risk transfer, preparedness and response, rehabilitation and recovery. In the post-disaster event, the DRM is ongoing process and aim to reduce vulnerability to hazard across all levels of society.
Quality small arms and ammunition. The Self-Reliant Defense Posture Program or SRDP of the Defense Department shall be harnessed as may be allowed by law to fully support military capability upgrade. As an integral part of SRDP, the government arsenal shall, within its capability, pursue its ammunition production upgrade program, research and development, and eventual in-country manufacture of defense items, like small arms and mortars, through joint venture and or co-production arrangement with local and foreign entities shall be encouraged.
National Security Education. The National Defense College of the Philippines shall continue the training and development of skill and competencies in the formulation and implementation of national security policies. And the 4. High Command and Staff. Duty of potential national security and defense leaders, civilians, officials in the government, and selected executives from the private sector.
AFP Modernization. The Defense Department shall focus on projects designed to improve, develop, and sustain land, air, and maritime forces, and joint command and control.
Composition of officers of Department of National Defense. This is the DND senior leaders. Number 1. Jose C. Faustino, OIC Secretary or Senior Undersecretary. The Office of the Secretary houses the Secretary of Department of National Defense. A cabinet member at the helm of the department is advising the President of the Philippines on matters of defense and developing the country's defense policy and directing the department and its bureaus. Number 2. Franco Nemesio Gacal, Undersecretary for Civil Veterans and Reserve Affairs. The job of the Office of the Undersecretary for Civil Veterans and Reserve Affairs is to assist the Secretary of National Defense in developing and administering the department's civil veterans and retired policies, advise and assist the Secretary of National Defense in public affairs, public information, retired issues, civil defense, and risk reduction management. Number 3. Ignacio Madriaga, Undersecretary for Strategic Assessment and Planning. The offices of the Undersecretary for Strategic Assessment Planning is advising and assisting the Secretary of National Defense on defense policy formulation and implementation, creating DND-led strategy plans needing emergency responses. Number 4. Angelito De Leon, Undersecretary for Capability and Assessment and Development. The job of the Office of the Undersecretary Capability Assessment and Development is advising and assisting the Secretary of National Defense in creating and implementing departmental objectives and policies affecting defense operations and supervising the armed forces of the Philippines. Number 5. Joselito Ramos, USEC for Acquaintance and Resource Management. The Office of the Undersecretary Capability for Acquisition and Resource Management is advising and helping the Secretary of National Defense in the formulation and implementation of departmental objectives and policies relating to finance, materials, ammunition, and installations,